All right, let's begin talking about St. Ignatius's second set of rules for the discernment of spirits. Oftentimes, this is a neglected arena because it assumes that you have some background, maybe, and at least theoretically, in the first set of rules. Now, these rules were designed for somebody going through the spiritual exercises, and really aren't necessarily. They don't have to be taught to somebody going through the exercises. They're used and revealed insofar as an individual needs them over the course of a retreat. So a director would be using these sets of rules to help somebody come through the retreat. The retreat itself is designed to try to bring people through stages of spiritual growth. So it begins assuming a purgative stage or that of a beginner, and as it moves through what it calls the second week, you're moving into the illuminative, that of the way of proficience. And it's weeks, but however long it takes. Now, it doesn't take you all the way to the third, the unitive, and it urges you that direction. So that's the design of the exercises themselves, and these rules are tools to help a director direct someone who might be being pushed and pulled by the devil as he's trying to make headway. So he's going to help him out in the battle. Now, what we're doing now is a much more theoretical kind of work, which is good, and it can be used for practical purpose outside of that retreat situation, and just rules for battle, because prayer is a battle, and every day we are in the fight. We fight the good fight. So for that reason, we need to see them all together. So the first set of rules with commentary is 1 through 14 rules, but now we have 8 new rules, sometimes called the greater discernment of spirits, because it's a little more penetrating. A very oversimplified understanding of St. Ignatius' rules of discernment is to say consolation means the good spirit, God, and desolation means bad, means the evil spirit. And whenever you listen to the consolations of the good, you have good decisions. When you listen to consolations of the evil, then you have bad decisions. Very oversimplified understanding of consolation and desolation. If this is new to you, go back and watch those videos that I've made about the first set of rules. But this is going to take it a little bit deeper even, because and really hone in on how do we respond and how do we understand that we can actually be deceived in consolation, that the devil can actually cause some consolation, some spiritual consolations, and mislead us with them. That is a different kind of tactic. We really want to know our enemy here. For that reason, Jules Toner, one of the main 20th century commentators in the English language on these rules for the discernment of spirits, he says that without qualification and nuancing, in many instances the earlier rules would simply be wrong, and to follow them would be to play into the hands of the evil spirit. So it's very important that we understand these. Now, rules, like I say, rule number 1 through 8, we're gonna be going through those. Today I'm gonna go over the first 3 rules in kind of rapid succession. Rule number 4 will require a little bit more time. Same with rule number 5, one of the most important rules that he gives us. And then 6 and 7 and potentially 8 could be one more video. So we only have a number of videos. So stay tuned, okay? Now, rule number 1, this is what St. Ignatius tells us. He says that it is co-natural for God and his angels when they prompt interior emotions to give genuine gladness and spiritual joy, eliminating all sadness and confusion which the enemy brings on. It is co-natural for the latter to fight against such gladness and spiritual consolation by proposing spacious arguments, subtle and persistently fallacious. So confusion, din, this is very similar to what we said before. He's setting right out at the beginning, this is what's connatural to God, and this is what's connatural to the evil spirit. Now, interior emotions, you might call these emotions. So this is a way of trying to be objective about our subjective life. This is a way of fostering and realizing that we are affective, that we have emotions, and those are important in the Christian life, and that God can move within us and prompt those. but also we should be wary because, we should be discerning, because also those things could just bubble up from what we ate, and it can also happen because of evil spirits. And so we have to use these criteria. So rule number 2 says, to give a person consolation without preceding cause is for God our Lord alone to do. For it is distinctive of the Creator in relation to the created person to come in and to leave, to move the person interiorly, drawing him or her totally into love of his divine majesty. I say without preceding cause, that is, without any previous perception or understanding of any object, such that through it consolation of the sort would come by mediation of the person's own acts of understanding and will. So in other words, let's say I'm praying a rosary and I'm thinking about Jesus in the crib, and I'm moved, and the movement is something that gives me greater faith, hope, and love. That would be a spiritual consolation. That is a consolation, but it's not a consolation without previous cause. It has an explanation. I had a thought, an image in my mind, and it was consoling. It's connected. This is a consolation that happens without preceding cause. I think in terms of some of the raptures and things that you might hear Saint Teresa of Avila or others going through, that it just, they'll be sweeping or doing something, and then all of a sudden God is upon them and they're enraptured. That doesn't happen except by God. So that's a safe place, right? This is a good criteria. Is the consolation without preceding cause? If it is, that's the thing that God does, and not the other guy. But apart from that, with a preceding cause, this is rule number 3. An angel, good or evil, can console a person. In doing so, the good and evil angels have contrary purposes. So this is the key, right? What is the direction of the consolation? That's going to be one of the criteria. The purpose of the good angel is the person's progress, that he may ascend from good to better. The purpose of the evil angel is the contrary, and thereafter to draw the person on to his damned intent and cunning trap. So, in other words, right, though the consolation itself is a mode, if it has preceding cause, it can come from either side. So how do we start to discern it? Well, we can only start discerning once we know its directionality. Is it toward my progress, or is it lessening that? It seems no. So Toner says, our commentator, it seems no exaggeration to say that every exercise in the spiritual exercises is calculated to bring consolation with preceding cause, if God chooses to give it. So if you're in the spiritual exercises, you're doing meditations, you're doing the spiritual exercises, which are the preceding cause of lots of consolation. Any consolation which is led up to and depends on prior meditation or contemplation or any prior affective experiences as its ground is consolation with previous cause. Now, so that's the first 3 sets of rules of the 8. So we'll get to the number 4 next round, which is really cool. But some takeaways for this one. One is that just because it's consolation doesn't necessarily mean it's from God. There's only one kind of consolation that is always from God, and that is when it's without preceding cause. If it has a preceding cause, it needs some further discernment. And one good key for that discernment is the directionality. What is the purpose of this consolation? And you can't know that right off the bat. So it's really important to have that habit of self-examination. The examination of conscience is a really key element for Ignatian spirituality and just for spirituality in general. Teresa of Avila did it. Mother Teresa wouldn't let a day go by without it. Anthony of the Desert urges all of his people to do it. Examination is key. And Plato says, right, the unexamined life is not worth living. So tune in next round, and you'll get the next bit of rules.